Welcome back. It's just not really adding up, right? There's too many mixed signals out there. I don't know about you, but it's just been very confusing. Now, we've commented on a coming recession many times on this show. And in fact, many of our guests believe that we're already in one. But truth be told, as bad as we think our economic growth should be, it keeps coming in as a positive number. Now, lots of tech sector job losses, but they're not really showing up in the non-farm payroll numbers, are they? There's job openings, and they're still very high. But the only thing between us and stagflation is a rising unemployment rate, which at the last reading went down 0.1% to the lowest level in 50 years, basically. So today we had an Empire Manufacturing number out, which showed the biggest surge in new orders in history. And a whole building survey that improved for the fourth month in a row. So what's going on? I don't know. I couldn't think of a better guest to have on for this segment. So please welcome into the show, Rebecca Walser. I think she thinks a lot like I do sometimes. She probably thinks a lot better than I do most of the time. But it just doesn't make any sense to me, Rebecca. We were talking during the break. And then to see that home builder index, up 4 months in a row, and we're back, everything's fine. I'm sorry, but I cannot get on this train of it's all over now. It's all good. We've stuck the soft landing and away we go. I'm not on that. I'm not on board.
No, I'm not on board for that either. And I think that the market isn't on board for that, Scott. The market really is looking for the Fed to sort of do something different. We know that. And yet this Empire State Manufacturers number that just blew us out of the water, which just is such an anomaly, right? It just does not jive with the core data that we're getting. Just further indicates that the Powell has got, more runway to continue to raise. And so you see CME now has an 86% likelihood of another 25 basis points for the FOMC meeting in May. So, but this Empire Manufacturing report's got such an outlier, such a just total outlier. And the interesting thing about the massive, everybody missed it. Everybody missed it. Now there's not one economist that forecasted this large of an increase. But it is occurring while real wage growth is declining and overall unemployment is also declining. So that is what doesn't make sense. And when I look at kind of the quotations of this report, the quote that I'm reading from Zero Hedge is basically that the Empire Fed survey is well known to be unrelated to core data and has been associated with head fakes and false starts. So there's something with this report. I haven't been able to understand the source of why it jumped so unexpectedly from no economist expecting it. But it is just another indicator of a mixed bag and an economy that does not have a sense of itself from top to bottom.
Yeah, we keep hearing the administration tell us how great the economy is. Janet Yellen just famously came out and said that just as of late. But then I want to scream at my television and say we don't have bank failures during a great economic boom, right? I'm sure there's something that was, nefarious done somewhere, but that doesn't tell me that things are great when we have that mid-tier level of banks gets shook to the core where they're not really loaning any money right now. We've seen the biggest drop off in the last 2 weeks that we've ever seen since the history of looking at those mid-tier banks and their lending to, say, commercial places or to manufacturing places. That's going to be the oxygen that keeps the economy going. They've shut the oxygen off, so I just keep thinking, well, here's another nail that looks like we're going to have some sort of recession come around the corner. But boy, oh boy, everything keeps holding in there, and everybody keeps saying we stuck the landing. It's all good. It's a soft one, and away we go. But I just can't buy it.
Well, I think you have to realize, Scott, the reason they have to say that is because our banking system, especially so quickly after a March 9th sort of beginning of a kind of an unraveling, our banking system, as we know, is insolvent by design. It's a fractional reserve system, meaning when I make a $100 deposit, not all $100 is held at that bank. It is lent out. That is the money multiplier effect. So they have to make the American people believe that the banking liquidity crisis is backfilled and backstopped. Otherwise, people will continue to withdraw money as they have in the beginning of April. We've seen some very large amounts being withdrawn at the largest institutions. The regionals went to the bigs, and now the bigs are seeing withdrawals. So they have to say that, Scott, because we're right. We are in a crisis. We have a liquidity problem. All you have to do is look at the Federal Reserve's chart on banking lending restrictions, and you can see that as the second the liquidity crisis really became problematic automatic that everybody knew. The lending requirements at banks, commercial banking lending requirements have stringently gone up to the levels that we had with the global financial crisis in 2008 and 2009. They're that strenuous again, looking at these people that are requesting credit and basically finding every reason under the world to say no. So banks have absolutely turned off the stimulus spigot as far as loans, and that will again create additional liquidity crises. We are not out of this banking situation, not by a long stretch, but the government will tell you that we are because they must keep people from taking their money out of the bank, which will in fact create the crisis they're trying to avoid.
Right. So that goes back to your March 9th comment, whatever that weekend was after the March 9th, when they came out with a three-headed bazooka with the FDIC, the Treasury, and the Fed all saying nothing to see here. It's all good. And they even went as far as saying we're going to backstop all deposits in the country, which is just impossible. But when I hear them say things like that in concert, I just kind of feel like I'm an East Palestine resident and they're asking me to drink the water. It's just fine. Okay. And you know in your heart of hearts that this is, when they come out with a bazooka like that, maybe there's something more behind it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the end of the system as we know it. 2023 is the end of the conventional system as we know it. And I can say that with all confidence because I know 81 countries have agreed to move their central bank digital currencies to launch this year. So there are changes, Scott, that are coming. We like them or not, they're coming.
Oh, boy. Okay. Awesome to have you on.